This is Bill Jasper with the New American Magazine and our special on-site coverage of the United Nations Rio Plus 20 Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio de Janeiro. Our correspondent Alex Newman is in Rio, along with our film crew, Jason Vincent and Adam Muggenthaler. Alex, what are your impressions of the first day at the summit?
Hey Bill, thanks. I guess the first thing that strikes you is just how disorganized everything is. It took us about 2 hours to get here by cab. It's about a 15-minute drive regularly, but the traffic was literally stopped. There's military checkpoints all over the place, and nobody knows what they're doing. It turns out we went to the correct entrance at first, and they didn't know they were supposed to let us in, so they sent us around the block. That was another half an hour, 45 minutes on our trip. So just nobody knows what they're doing. Everything is out of control here. And when we got here, the first thing you notice also is that the internet wasn't working. So there wasn't enough cables, first of all, to plug in all the computers. And then when you try to hook up to the Wi-Fi wasn't working either. So it's just been one disaster after the next. And the reason I mention all of that is because what these people are proposing is literally permission to run the planet. Yet they cannot run even a simple conference. So how they would manage the planet, that's a tough question that people ought to think about. The next thing that really strikes you about being here is just the amount of resources they're wasting and the amount of crazy consumption that's going on. They're sitting here lecturing people that they need to ride their bikes more, that they need to feel guilty about having electricity and you consuming fossil fuels, and at the same time they're running the air conditioning full blast with all the doors open throughout this entire complex. So it's just hypocritical and very strange, to say the least.
Does there seem to be any kind of feel to this summit that is similar to or different from, say, Copenhagen or Cancun?
Well, in a lot of ways it does seem really similar, actually. They're talking about a lot of the same things. It's the exact same agenda. They've just kind of done a rebranding program here. The climate change has kind of been dropped and played down a little bit, and they're focusing more on the sustainability aspect. In terms of the logistics, of course, it's a lot more disorganized than we were in Copenhagen. The Danes, I guess, are quite organized. Brazilians, not so much. And, the UN, always disorganized. So that part is similar in a lot of ways. The police state is a lot more in your face here. In terms of the participants, it's pretty similar based on what we've seen so far. The press is pretty much sitting in the press room waiting for press releases to arrive, and the delegates, about the same thing that we saw in Copenhagen. The third world countries are trying to figure out what they can scam out of the rich countries. The rich countries are figuring out what they can, trick the poor countries into doing, so that we can end up with this kind of global system. And it's the same thing that we saw in Copenhagen and at the other conferences.
Okay, thank you, Alex.